Counter-Strike is a game with deep-rooted meta, strategy, and a vast history of running around these maps. So naturally, for those starting their journey in 2024, it can feel overwhelming, as if you're so far behind. But I love CS, and I want you to play the game. So in this video, I'm going to give you somewhat of a starter pack. It'll give you an advantage over the other people starting their journey, and will make the game more enjoyable compared to the baptism of fire that it can be. Counter-Strike is a 5v5 competitive bomb defusal game. We do have other game modes, but they're kind of seen as like gimmick mini games, or an easier way to warm up. But before we can access Premier Mode, the one we mostly play, we will have to play these more casual games until we reach rank 10. Although, we do have competitive available to play, which is just a more casual version of Premier. It's a good chance for you to get a grips with the mechanics before jumping in the deep end. Actually, another thing you can get a grip on is some lovely skins, but the cases in CS2 have very harsh odds, and that's why I recommend you check out Skin Club. You can responsibly have some fun and open fair cases. Skin Club has over 3 million active users, and, well, there's a reason for it.
Ah! My god.
Wait, what? Wait, how much did we pay for this?
Not only are the cases cool, but there's also other game modes too, including free daily cases. I really enjoyed the upgrade game. You can see that I had a 75% chance of winning, and I won.
We've actually done it again.
And when you want to withdraw your skins, it's literally the easiest thing ever. Here I am withdrawing my skins right now. Click the link in the description and responsibly have some fun at Skin Club. But now that my bills are paid, back to the video. Premier is very competitive. Each round is this long and is extended when the bomb's planted. It takes 10 seconds for that bomb to be defused, unless you purchase a defuse kit for $400. Speaking of which, we get all of our equipment and weapons by purchasing it. We get income from winning or losing rounds, defusing or planting the bomb, and from killing people. But we'll talk more about the economy later. Let's bring our attention to the gameplay. There are some basic things you need to know in order to not get killed in every engagement. For example, learning to control your spray will give you a massive advantage over your enemies. The way spray control works is different to most games. Each weapon has a unique and consistent pattern, meaning we can learn and master each one. Although it's important to remember that your shots will not be accurate if you're moving, and this can be quite extreme. So how do we freely move around and easily take duels without our shots going everywhere? Well, there's an essential skill called counter-strafing, which is where we stop moving. But there's a twist. When we start and stop moving, also known as strafing, it's not an instant change in speed. We gradually reach our maximum speed and gradually come to a stop. For most players, they'll stop moving, or strafing, and will instantly start shooting. But since we come to a gradual stop, we're technically moving when we start shooting, and although the accuracy may not be as bad, it's still not accurate, meaning we don't have full control. The difference between this and counter-strafing is that when we counter-strafe, we actually tap the opposite key to the direction we're moving. So, for example, if we're strafing to the left, we tap right to stop, and if we're moving right, we tap left, and if we're moving diagonally, then we'll have to use 2 keys to stop moving. It sounds simple, and to be honest, after getting used to it, it is. There are more advanced movement techniques. In fact, I've made an entire video discussing them, but back to this video. I want to mention that the average sensitivity in CS is a lot lower than other games. Even a high sense in CS might be considered low in any other game. This is because CS is all about having control, not only in areas of the map, but also in our character and our aim. And if we want to have full control of each pixel on our screen, a lower sensitivity grants it. Also, if you think about it, most of the time we know what angles we need to hold. It's not like a battle royale where we need to constantly check our surroundings. So we can have a low sense and not be hindered by the lack of mobility, because we don't really need it. And once again, I've made a video all about finding your perfect sensitivity, so feel free to check that out. But all of these things are physical and visual, and it's easy to forget that audio is just as important, if not more. Think about it. If you hear nothing at A, and then you hear a bunch of people running around outside B, you don't even need to see the enemy to know that it's probably a B push. Obviously, we make a lot more noise than just footsteps. So, what can the enemies hear? Well, footsteps, obviously, but also reloading your gun, scoping in and out, pulling the pin on a grenade. This is when you're throwing the grenade. Kinda sounds like this. Also, dropping, planting, and defusing the bomb also makes noise. And also dropping weapons and that. That's kinda obvious. But it is important to note that you can do things like shift around and switch weapons freely, and you won't be heard. I remember when I first started playing the game, I thought that everyone could hear me switch weapons, so that's really handy to know. Actually, whilst we're on the topic of audio, I'd like to recommend playing the game on a higher volume without music and stuff on in the background, because this is no casual game, and if you really want to play, these things are expected of you. And if you're unsure if someone's close enough to hear you, there's a really useful feature that's actually new to CS2, where you can see a little circle of how far your audio is travelling. Utility is something I find really interesting in CS. Whereas most games it can be seen as a secondary route to achieving your goal, in CS it's pivotal to use your util correctly. We can buy Molotovs, flashbangs, high explosive grenades, and smoke grenades, and each can be used in various ways. I'll give you an example for each one. Smoke grenades can be used to block off areas of the map, and you'll typically see crazy lineups online for these. This is because a certain smoke might require us to take certain map control if we didn't know the lineup. Like, take Banana for example, and if you want to smoke CT, if we wanted to smoke it without this lineup, we'd have to actually take top Banana and peek into CT just to smoke it. Whereas if you know this lineup, you can just throw it from back here, and since your position is a lot more open, you even have the choice of faking a smoke and going back to A. But back to the other util. Flashbangs can easily get you a kill. Simply throwing a good flash will obliterate your enemy's vision and hearing momentarily. It's important to try and have the flash pop just as the enemy sees it, so that the enemy doesn't have a chance to turn around from it. But to be honest, even throwing any old flash might make the enemy dodge it, which in turn wins you the angle. Molotovs will burn people, and also partners well with a HE grenade, because when the HE blows up and damages them, it will slow the enemy's movement, meaning they can't escape the flames. But as we said earlier about the smoke grenades, every piece of util shouldn't really be thrown like this, i.e. peeking the angle that you're throwing the util at, because peeking with util in your hands is kinda like getting caught with your kecks down. You're vulnerable. Remember earlier when we spoke about purchasing weapons and equipment? Well, when I first played the game, this was the only thing I disliked. I was apprehensive and thought it was unnecessary, but my god I was wrong. The economy can seem daunting at first, but once you learn it, it is really easy, and it's essential for the game to be played because it gives the team momentum, and gives the potential for momentum to be stopped. After winning a round you gain this much, and depending on how many rounds you've lost in a row, you will gain this much. Now, I already know what you're thinking. What if in some rounds I can't afford to buy anything? Well, it might seem counterintuitive, but some rounds we want to save our money. It's called an eco round, short for economy round. Although, as a beginner, I suggest just keeping an eye on the money by pressing tab, right clicking and then hovering your mouse here. This will tell you how much you'll gain if you lose the round, because I understand that the loss bonus system can be a bit confusing at first. Alongside this, make sure to drop a weapon to a teammate if they need it, because we want our economy to be consistent throughout the team so that we can buy and save together. And don't buy every round. If you're in this kind of range of money, and you have decent loss bonus, then you should really save. This segues nicely into what weapons and equipment you should buy. As for the equipment, it's important to prioritize armor over utility and a kit, as when you don't have armor, you'll die to only a few shots to the body and one shot to the head from pretty much all weapons. Alongside this, when you do get shot without Kevlar, your screens are going to bounce and jolt around, making it impossible to stand a chance in your duel. The difference between full Kevlar and helmet and just having Kevlar is literally just that your head will or will not be protected. You can tell if someone has head armor because if you shoot them, it makes this funny noise. We call this a dink, or a gush. Some weapons, primarily talking about the AK, are a one-shot kill to the head regardless on whether or not you have head armor. So a popular strategy for the CT side is to save the money on head armor when the enemy most likely all have AKs. This also works well because the CT buy menu is a lot more expensive overall compared to the Ts. Speaking of the AK, it's grouped in with the main weapons you want to be buying on a full buy round, a round we're fully investing in. These are the most efficient weapons, but they're the hardest to master. That's because these weapons strictly apply to the spray control and movement inaccuracy we spoke about earlier. The selection of SMGs can also be used, but the armor penetration is a lot worse than the rifles, so it'll take a lot more bullets to take someone down. This is traded off with a higher kill reward, higher movement accuracy, and being cheaper. These are good for eco rounds, where you know for a fact that you can easily mow down the unarmored opponents. The shotguns are a similar premise. In CS2 I've noticed a lot more shotguns being used. They're really good in close range positions, like apartments on Inferno for example. This is because, well, shotguns are close range, aren't they? And they can be very deadly. You've got to think ahead of time and review the positions that you'll be playing throughout the round and decide which weapon is best for each situation. So, we've covered most of the basic mechanics and what you should be practicing first. But there's also a level of understanding to the maps. All of our maps are 3-lane maps, meaning they're kind of shaped like this. There's a way to each bomb site, with the CTs being closer, and a middle area, which if taken, will grant a reward in the form of faster rotations to each bomb site. There's a concept called map control, which is simply having control of a certain area and knowing that no one's there. At the start of every round, there's already basic boundaries set, and you'd be surprised how much respect is given to this. It's very rare that you'll see an experienced player run into enemy territory, so at the start of most rounds, especially if you don't instantly have a plan, you want to have a default spread across the map, and try and poke and prod around for an opening kill, whilst making sure the CTs can't get much map control themselves, and information. Learning the meeting points on each map, which is the points of the map where the Ts and CTs will meet, will help you understand this better. These will be the points of contention. So based on this information, this area belongs to the Ts, and this belongs to the CTs. If the Ts are able to win this area to start off the round, it sets them up nicely to apply some pressure on one of the bomb sites. I mean, if we really think about it, a round of Counter-Strike is the T side attempting to take parts of the map, whether it be with util, or killing someone, or even just sneaking in. And the CTs are trying to maintain their position, not let any gaps lay in their defences, and also trying to take some unexpected map control to catch out the T side. Cause if you've got no map control, you're gonna feel really constricted, and can even get separated from your team. But even with this basic knowledge, you'll open your mind to the tactical depths that this game has the potential for. So go, learn some lovely smoke lineups, keep an open and multi-perspective mindset, and of course, fucking have it. Cause CS really is a great game, and you know, when you pull off like a crazy play or something, everyone in the game knows how difficult it is, and the sense of accomplishment is something I haven't really gotten from any other games. It's also one of the only games where I found that real life skills can translate to, and improving them inside the game has improved myself outside the game too, and I want these lessons to continue down in the comments section. So if I've missed anything, which I most likely have, then please feel free to give some advice and such in the comments section. And if anyone has a specific question, also feel free to ask in the comments. I'm always replying to them. I'm sure that someone else will reply to it. And yeah, I'll catch you later, I guess. Bye.
Oh, that was
Oh my god.
Okay. Whoa.
Oh my god.
Whoa.
Oh my god.
Wow. Oh my.
Whoa.
What the fuck? What the hell was... Wow.
Oh my god. That was
That was crazy.